Back when Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg was still a Harvard student, he reportedly called the people who trusted him with their data dumb, followed by an expletive we can't say on the air. 2018 just might have been the year we realized he was right, and that social media as a whole may be doing us more harm than good. Adam has more.
Facebook is now disclosing details of a major bug in their system.
For Facebook, 2018 ended the way it began, with embarrassing headlines about Mark Zuckerberg's failure to keep his digital house in order.
We need to make sure that we don't make that mistake ever again.
That mistake was letting Cambridge Analytica pull data from tens of millions of users under false pretenses, not telling those users, and then trusting the data had been deleted when it hadn't. Another mistake, Zuckerberg's rationale for not banning Holocaust deniers.
There are things that different people get wrong. Either, I don't think that they're intentionally getting it wrong.
A statement Zuckerberg later clarified. For good measure, Facebook also acknowledged not doing enough to keep users in Myanmar from inciting ethnic violence. For the record, Facebook wasn't alone. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey took heat for not suspending conspiracy theorist Alex Jones and saying journalists should just fact-check him instead.
It's not our job to clean up your platform.
And when Louis Farrakhan tweeted this,
"Call me an anti-Semite. Stop it. I'm anti-termite."
Twitter said new rules for banning dehumanizing speech hadn't yet kicked in. Still, it was Facebook that took the biggest beating.
Today, Facebook admitted it gave partners like Spotify access to users' private messages,
making some people wonder why we still trust Facebook at all.
So that's the other thing, Adam. After this Cambridge Analytica thing broke, which was over the summer sometime, a lot of this stuff was still going on. They shared it with Spotify, Netflix, a whole lot of these other tech giants, including, they claim, these private messages. Now, Netflix says, oh, well, we never saw the private messages. We didn't do anything with them. But certainly Facebook knew it was sharing this data with them, because that's how you get people.
Well, what Facebook is saying on that last story is, no, people are being unfair to us here. If you logged into your Facebook account from Spotify or Netflix, you were then able to continue communicating via Facebook Messenger, but they weren't going in and looking at your messages and deleting them. That's their attempt at damage control on this one. But that was actually the development that got me to finally delete my Facebook account once and for all. I had intended to do it a few months back, amid this long list of things that Facebook was embarrassed by. And then I kind of lost the courage of my convictions. I want to see baby pictures or whatever, but this latest one has made me do it. Twitter, obviously, they're still struggling with how to police toxic stuff on their platform, but Facebook is struggling with that same problem and repeatedly showing that they can't be trusted with our private data. So I'm off Facebook now, and I use Twitter a lot,
Adam,
but I don't know what
you're still addicted to Twitter.
Twitter's worse than Facebook, but it's so small by comparison that it doesn't have the same negative effects that Facebook does. Facebook, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm staying on Facebook for now, although I'm thinking about whether I should for the first time. The problem with Facebook is that it's working exactly the way it was designed to work. It's essentially unfixable. What they did with Cambridge Analytica is what they routinely do with all their advertisers. There's nothing that unique about it. I'm wondering if the time has come for some sort of maybe a non-profit, but some sort of a system that wouldn't have the algorithm, wouldn't have the advertising, and maybe people would be willing to pay $50 a year for it in order to take part in this community and not be the product.
Well, you've got a problem because now you're fighting habit. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I just have to go back and remind people that this was never supposed to be a vehicle for sharing news and current information. It was supposed to be the baby pictures. It was supposed to be the anniversary. It was supposed to be
originally it was Mark Zuckerberg's way to check out girls.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying. But that's what it was. It was supposed to be social in that way. And that at the point that people started saying, but now you are a platform for other stuff, and they kept refusing to accept that, that's when the hammer should have come down, because then I think we just lost all control.
Well, they pretended that they were this sort of neutral platform, but they were in fact a publisher, and that's the thing they have to come to terms and acknowledge. I mean, and you, as a publisher, you have a responsibility for the content on your site. I remember when I was a high school journalist, and there were people who would come around and they would try to play these high school journalists by submitting Holocaust denial ads, and these kids like me at the time who, would think they had this quandary. Oh, well, it's free speech. People could say something. No. The lesson that you learned at the time was, wait a minute, you control this editorial platform. You are the publisher. You have the right to say no. And Facebook hasn't wanted to have that responsibility and is going to have to.
That's right. They want to get the benefits that come from being a media company, and they want to pretend that they're a public utility like the phone company.
Yes.
And the fact is, they're somewhere in between, and they haven't lived up to their responsibilities.
I want to know why they don't flag certain material and let everybody know it's bogus. Like there's this one that's been going around for about a year. If you copy and paste and hit refresh, you'll get a whole new feed. That's an algorithm scam.
Yes.
Why don't they tell users? I mean, 1,000 people have sent me that thing. It's like, no, it's an algorithm scam.
Because
so are most stories about kids with cancer and everything else. Anything cut and paste is an algorithm scam.
There are very
few. Just send out a note to your users telling them that.
Yeah.
The business is built on having very few employees,
Yeah.
so they try to catch these problems by robot.
But why don't they alert people?
Well, you have to go to Snopes.
I'm sure it's
I mean,
sure
you
it's
can't-
money.
Exactly, that's ridiculous.
You can't go through 15 minutes on Facebook without checking something
That's
out at
true.
Snopes. It's
That's true.
crazy.
I do think users of Facebook, if they're going to continue to use Facebook, and Facebook does have utility even beyond the baby pictures. It's good for organizing. It's good for the local yard sale. It's there's some things beyond trolling and stalking that you can do practically on Facebook. But you have to have a little bit of media literacy about Facebook.
Yeah.
If Facebook's not going to take that responsibility, you've got to understand, just the way you're aware of email scams, or you should be, you've got to be aware of how the Facebook scams happen.
And I would just add, I think one reason they don't want to get into the habit of telling people certain content is bogus is because they don't want to upset anyone on either side of the political divide.
Yes.
If they, pardon me, flag a story that generates massive engagement, saying that Hillary Clinton is about to keel over during the 2016 presidential campaign, if they flag that and say this is not true, they're going to take heat from the right. We've seen this sort of building narrative of Facebook and Twitter are biased against conservatives. Everyone from President Trump on down is pushing this. I don't think it's true.
Well,
they don't
want
to alienate people.
Duped into. There's all these stupid scams, and
Yes.
they could tell people about how to avoid them.
because they don't have enough people to do it, as Dan has said.
Well, they don't want people to be wary of using Facebook, right?
But here's the thing that I think is going to begin to change some of this, and that is Reuters, looking at the end of the year, did a big story about how young people are moving away from social media.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
the
so
kids
with
in my
that
daughter's
happens,
high school?
exactly.
Nobody's-
So
Good
that's
for
where the
them,
money
yeah.
is. So as far as I'm concerned, that's where the money that they've
Yes.
counted on that. Now, when that goes away, then
It's
what are
all
you gonna
people
do?
over 50 wishing each other happy birthday.
well,
As
Facebook's
I've complained about 1,000 times. I can't stand
Not
it.
Facebook, owns Instagram.
Facebook's
That's it.
why I'm
been dead
not on-
for young people for quite a while
I know.
now, but
But
they,
I mean,
they
but
still.
other- yeah.
I'm going to predict really quickly, end of next year, either Mark Zuckerberg or Sheryl Sandberg will
Both.
no longer be in their current
Yeah.
position, if not both.
I'll go with that. I'll second that.